ever feel like you just cannot keep the home clean and tidy because kids? Well, let me share with you 6 tips on how we keep this home and keep this space as clean and tidy as possible with kids. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that our house looks amazing all the time, because that is not the case, but I'm going to get to that later. But let me share with you how we try and keep the chaos away as much as possible. Hey, and welcome to another video. Now, for those that don't know me yet, my name is Stephanie and I'm a wife and a mother to 3 amazing children that we homeschool, and I love to share all about biblical homemaking, motherhood, and making sure that we can create a home that our family loves to be in. So if you love content like that, I would love to have you as a subscriber, but let's dive into my 6 tips on how to keep your home somewhat tidy when you have children. Now, the first one is that you need to allow chaos to happen every once in a while. It doesn't have to be chaos all the time, obviously, but it does help to sometimes just let them go, let them be creative, and just allow it to be chaotic and untidy in your home. And what I love to do is I tell them, okay, you can get everything out. I don't care. It is chaos time and you can do whatever you want within limits, obviously, but you can make the mess that you want and we'll clean it up later. But for now, chaos is okay. And they love moments like that. They will just grab everything and they will build a tower with magnet tiles, and with the Duplo blocks, they will build another tower, and then they play with their Lego cars and they get everything into one pile and they just create a super fun city or whatever they create. And it's really fun to have those moments. So the first thing that I actually have as a tip is don't always have it tidy. Just make sure that they can actually get their creativity out and they can really create chaos. And what I then do is we have that moment where they can play and they can do whatever they want. And then when I say, okay, now it's time to clean up, we all clean it up together and we make sure everything goes back where it belongs. And that really helps. We just do it together, they play together. I usually sit and I watch them, or I do some laundry, or I do some things around the house, and I can just play with them and talk with them. And then when they're done, I help them and I actually help them clean it up. And that is really when there is, like I said, there's chaos, when everything is into one pile. So that is the first tip for you. It doesn't always have to be tidy. Now, in order to have it tidy, the first thing that you need to do, so my tip number 2 basically, is to be a good example. You are the one that sets the example for your children and for your family. So make sure that you are the one that sets the example. So when you have stuff lying around, make sure that you clean up after yourself. When you've been making dinner, clean it up after yourself. Make sure that you put everything back where it belongs. Don't pile everything into your sink or on the kitchen counter. Make sure that you actually show them that when you are done with something, you are going to clean it up as well. And that is what you want to teach them too. So don't expect something from them that you're not doing yourself. So be a good example for them and make sure that they can actually see what it should be like as a good homemaker. Now, the next thing is that you really want to teach them very young, from a very early age, that they need to clean up after themselves. So like I said, you need to set the right example. So what you usually do, and what we did around, I think they were 1.5 years old, I help them put everything back where it belongs. So as soon as they start playing, I will tell them, hey, you are done playing with your cars. Let's put it back in the toy box. Or, hey, we have finished this book. Let's grab another one. Let's put this one back in the closet and grab a new one. So I teach them and I show them that they have to clean up after themselves. So that is one of the most important things. Teach them young, because the older they get, it gets harder and harder to actually teach them something new. So if your children are young, make sure you put it into their system right now. If they're older, it's just going to take a little bit more effort, but you can still teach them, obviously, but it's just going to take a little bit more effort than when they're young and they just know that they have to do this. Now that brings me to point number 4, because you actually do want them to clean up after themselves when they're done with something. So make sure that that is sort of a rule or a thing that just happens in your home. When you're done with something, we clean it up before we get something new. And that is something that you need to constantly stay on top of, because I don't know what it is, but my children always seem to forget that that is the rule. So I often have to tell them, okay, you're done coloring, so let's put those coloring stuff back before we get something new. And I hope that one day they will just automatically do this by themselves. But for now, they're not. My oldest is 8 and he still doesn't do that all the time. So it's a learning curve, I guess, but that is part of our job as a mom. But what I really love to do is to just teach them, okay, you're done with this. before we get something new, we're going to clean this up. And that, again, is something that I have to show the example in myself, but it's also something that I just expect from them. I want them to clean up everything that they have used. And if they have something that they want to play with later, it depends on what type of chaos it creates, basically. So if they are coloring something and we are going out and they want to finish that coloring after dinner, for example, when we get back, that's okay. I don't mind if there's a coloring page on the table with some pencils or something. But if they have their entire Lego set out and they want to keep that here and the entire floor is covered, that is something different. I don't want that. So then I tell them, okay, you need to put those things back in their box. And yes, you can put everything into one box and then sort it later if you want, but I don't want everything on the floor. So it depends on what it is, but usually I tell them, you need to clean it up before you do something different. Now, one of my greatest tips that has really helped me to reduce the amount of clutter and just stuff around the house is to reduce the amount of things that we have in the home. We have one cupboard that is filled with toys, and there's actually just two baskets. One basket with cars and other knickknacks, and one thing with magnetiles. That is what we have downstairs. That is what they play with downstairs. And if they want something different, that is fine, but one of those boxes has to go upstairs. And that works really great. They love the magnetiles right now. They play with it all the time. As soon as they're done playing with it, that usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks. Then we just swap it out for something different. And that is basically toy rotation. I actually did a blog post about it, which I will link down below how we do that. But it just means that you just put some new things in there. The magnetiles go back upstairs and you give them something new, even though it is old stuff or not old stuff. It is stuff they already know, but because it has been upstairs in a box or something, it feels new to them, so they play with it a lot more. So that is what I love to do. But it's really important to not have too many options for them, because what I've learned, because we have tried putting everything into the living room, it just doesn't work. They don't touch all the things. And what usually happens is it creates a lot of chaos. And we as moms can look at it and think, oh, wow, this is such a mess. But your children often think the same. And what I learned is actually when there are so many things on the floor, they don't really know what to do and what to grab. So they just grab something different. They leave all the stuff that is on the floor, they leave it there and they go sit at the table and color. That is not what I want. I want them to play with the things that they have here and enjoy what they have here. So by giving them fewer options, they actually play with it a lot more. So I highly, highly recommend toy rotation. It just depends on what you want in your home, but I really want to encourage you not to have too many toys here or here in your living room, just to make sure that they don't have too many options. Because like I said, the chaos that it brings in our mind usually also happens in their mind. So now, my last tip is actually one that I really love, and that is just doing 10-minute speed cleans throughout the day. And what we usually do is we do it before bedtime and we do it before dinner, before my husband comes home. And bedtime/nap time is actually after lunch. So usually we do it before lunch just to make sure that we have that entire time with a clean home and a tidy home. So what we do is 10 minutes before we have lunch, I will sometimes set a timer, but usually I'll just say, okay, you guys, mommy's gonna make lunch. I'm gonna prep everything. You make sure that everything looks good. And they will just grab everything, put it where it belongs, and then they sit at the table. And that is what we do before my husband comes home as well. And I will say, okay, daddy's coming home in 10 minutes. Time to get everything back where it belongs. And they will do their cleaning. I will finish dinner. And then when my husband comes in, he will have a tidy home. He doesn't see all the mess that we made. Even though I don't mind that they made a mess, I want him to come home into a clean and tidy and nice atmosphere. So I don't want everything to look like chaos happened. That is not what I want him to come home to. So I want to make sure that before he comes home, we have cleaned everything up, and that works wonders. I will just give them 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and the house looks spotless almost, and that really works. So if you want your children to just have their creativity flow and just have them go crazy with their stuff, that is fine. That can happen. Just start implementing the 10-minute speed clean, and it will make your life so much easier because you don't have to do all the cleaning. They can clean their stuff themselves. They can get rid of all the things. They can tidy up the living room. So do it with the entire family or let them do it together, but you don't have to do it all as a mother. They can help, and that is actually really good for them to learn how to be a good homemaker and how to be a good adult. I mean, as adults, we need to clean up after ourselves, right? So we want to teach them to do the same. So that is one of my favorite things to do, have a speed clean every single day. And we actually do it 2, maybe 3 times a day, just to make sure that when the children go upstairs and have their quiet time, I can actually walk around in my home and not have to walk on top of Legos, because we all know that is not fun. So make sure that your house is tidy, that everything is clean-ish. And one of the other perks about that is as soon as everything is ready and you have everything off the floor, it is so much easier to do your cleaning job, because if there's not stuff everywhere, you can actually vacuum the floor. It is a lot easier to vacuum and mop the floors when the stuff is gone, right? So that makes it a lot easier to do your homemaking tasks. So I really hope that these 6 tips are gonna help you to have a clean and tidy home for yourself, because it really is all gonna create that peaceful and fun and nice atmosphere that you want in your homes. And if that was helpful, I would love for you to let me know down below, because like I always say, I really love talking to you in the comments. So let me know, and I would love to see you in my next video.